My name's Janette and I'm a freelance artist. We're here today at the Museum of Science and Industry asking people to make some figures for a piece of artwork in the Textiles Gallery.
And what's the piece of artwork?
It's going to be a boat that commemorates the 200-year abolition of slavery, and we're having a carpenter friend of mine is making a 6-foot by 3-foot ship, which we're going to try and fit on with 609 figures made by community groups, members of the public, schools. Got some Afro-Caribbean elders making some figures as well, so lots and lots of different people.
So that's the intention, to engage as many different people as possible?
Yeah.
And how are you doing on the figures front? How many have you got and how many do you need?
Well, we'd like 609 because it was, on one voyage, it was chronicled that 609 people were fitted onto one of the transatlantic slave ships. I think the usual number was 489, but we'd like 609. I think we've got about 250, maybe about 300 now, so we're doing okay. And they're taking over my house.
And how many are you hoping to get today?
As many as we can. We're just asking people to create at least one, maybe two, if they get really into it. But most people are being quite obliging. So,
what sort of information do you tell people about the figures and the actual history of the piece? Because we were chatting earlier on with a lad who thought he was doing them to go on a spaceship.
Oh, clearly not enough. We tell them a little bit, and then if they're interested, we sort of tell them more. Tell them that it's for a piece of artwork to commemorate the abolition of slavery, and that it's going to go in the Textile Gallery. We also tell them if they're interested that it's to plug some gaps in museums' histories that they have in their collections, to try and make sure that because most of Manchester was built on the transatlantic slave industry, and trying to kind of show that sort of missing piece of history is fitted into the museum. We also, in terms of making the artwork, we ask people not to make an enslaved African or to make a black person. We want them to make an individual person. So however they want to do that, then we give them sort of free rein with that. So that hopefully, in the finished artwork, there'll be 609 individual people staring back at the audience. That's the plan.
So you basically you're discouraging people from doing a representative of representations of black people, or
not discouraging, but we're saying that the idea is not to make an enslaved African, but to make an individual person, which ultimately they were. So yeah.
And is it something that you've been involved with before on this kind of community engagement within a sort of historical period?
Well, both Emma and I do work with communities, doing various different artworks and various different kind of projects. It's the first time I've been involved with revealing histories. I teach life drawing, which is my kind of connection to making people. So that's how I kind of was interested. But it was a commissioned artwork from the Museum of Science and Industry, which I applied for and luckily got.
So have you finished that, or are you still working on that?
No, we're about halfway through now. I think early April it should be finished. The boat's currently in construction, and all the figures, once they're dried, they're made from air drying clay, and once they're dried they need to be covered in a layer of glue. So it takes about 2 days for them to dry. So they're all in my spare room, slowly encroaching onto the hall, and then I spend my evenings covering them in glue. I'm very rock and roll.
Are you planning to have a kind of a launch of the boat?
We'd like to, yeah, actually. I've been asked this a couple of times, and it'd be lovely if we could, because hopefully it's going to be something that's in the museum for quite a long time in museum terms, 5 or 6 years, as part of the permanent collections, hopefully. So we would like to have a launch event. And also people have been asking what happens to them afterwards, and whether we might auction them off, which might be sort of a good way to raise some money. So, yeah, I don't know yet. Watch this space.
And of the figures that we've seen today, have you got any particular favourites at all?
They're all my favourites. That's a cop-out, isn't it? I think they're all wonderful, as long as they're individual and as long as the people have had fun. That's sort of my part of the bargain done. But no, I've got a lot of favourites. There are some in the case at the moment. There's about 100 of them in the case where they're going to be. Today in the museum, but I've got about another 150 at home, and I do have some favourites actually. But yeah, I end up because I end up handling them quite a lot, and I like them all for different reasons. Yeah, that's still a cop-out, isn't it?
You're not kind of tempted to keep any back at all?
No, I'd like them all to be in actually, because I want people to connect with the artwork, so that when they come back they can kind of look for their figure. And it might be that they end up being 3 or 4 people deep on the boat, but they'll all be recognisable. Hopefully, that's the idea.
And what sort of things have you actually found out about those kind of conditions that the slaves were taken over there? I mean, what's been your reaction to that?
Oh, well, I've been to quite a few museums and looked at the slave industry. I've got books out from the library and spoken to people who, Dr. Alan Rice has been really helpful in sort of research. I went to the International Slavery Museum in Liverpool and stood in there. They've got like a sort of an area where they have projected images which are very, very claustrophobic, and they've got people how they could represent what it was like to be on a slave ship, and it was awful. I was only in there for about 10 seconds. It was horrible, really, a very moving and multi-sensory experience. The idea for this is it's meant to be a positive kind of commemoration of something which was a terrible period in history, so trying to kind of keep it quite light and positive.
Yeah, and achieving it very well.
Oh, I hope so.
Thanks ever so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. I mean, is this allowed that you should be making one as well?
Yes, because that's what it is. It's a perfect demonstration to show people, and also a way of making more, because we need 600. And I think if as I'm doing it, when there's other people around, it kind of gives them an idea of a quicker, simpler way of doing it. And I like to sculpt, so I can't help myself. Go around, help, and then have a little break and make some myself.
So what will you do if you're kind of still short of numbers after all the various... I mean, how have the figures been created? Where have they been created?
Over. They've been in... Annette's been to schools all around and about, and all sorts of places she's been doing them. And I've been drafted in today to help myself, and on evenings as well. Been making many, like a small sweatshop, actually. But I enjoy doing it, being a sculptor, so it makes it so much easier for me to be able to do something I enjoy.
And what if you don't get all your numbers done?
Then we'll be up till very late and up very early, making more and more as well. The more that I'm sure we will get the numbers. There's no doubt that we will have the numbers. We're not far off. It doesn't take that long to make one. I mean, there we go, done. How easy is that? Have you made one yet?
Maybe when we get a bit of time.
I think we should.
Yeah,
it's only
definitely.